The police were getting closer to the person who killed Maria. Maria's mother was invited to the station the next morning. When the investigators asked why she had lied about not being home until late that night, she simply said she had come back briefly to pick up something and didn't want unnecessary attention. The investigators exchanged puzzled glances. It didn't make sense. Why would a grieving mother lie about something that could help them find her daughter's killer? Then they asked about the young man who had left the compound shortly after Maria arrived. She said he was one of her staff from the office, and he had come along with her to help carry a few things. She added that when she returned home that afternoon, Maria wasn't in the house. That was when the investigators knew something was wrong. The timelines didn't add up, so they showed her the dashcam footage. She watched it in silence, the car entering the compound, Maria walking in 30 minutes later, the young man leaving hurriedly, and then her car driving out. Her eyes flickered, but she didn't say anything. The police didn't press further. Instead, they detained her at the station and demanded the identity of the young man. He was tracked down and brought in for questioning that same day. At first, he denied knowing who she was, but after hours of interrogation and pressure, his resistance broke. His confession stunned the investigators. He wasn't her staff. He was her lover. Maria had walked in on them that Saturday afternoon, in a moment no child should ever witness. Her mother had panicked and the young man had quickly left the house to avoid a scene. Maria, heartbroken and shaking, had gone straight to her room. She was in shock, not just because of the betrayal, but because everything she thought she knew about her family had just collapsed in front of her eyes. She confronted her mother, asking how she could do something so shameful to her father, a man who had never given them any reason to doubt his loyalty. Her mother had followed her upstairs, knocking on her door, begging to explain. She pleaded, apologized, promised that it wasn't what it looked like. Maria eventually stormed out of the room in tears, shouting that she hated her. She was halfway down the stairs when it happened. Her mother, overwhelmed by panic and rage, pushed her. Maria tumbled violently down the staircase, hitting her head on the tiled floor below. But she didn't die. She was still conscious, barely able to move. Her mother, desperate and terrified of what would happen if her husband ever found out the truth, did the unthinkable. She walked down the stairs, took off her heel, and struck her daughter in the head, again and again until she stopped moving. She cleaned herself up, staged her alibi, and left the house, making sure she wouldn't be present when the staff returned. Maria's father came back with an ambulance, and police after Mama Ejiro called him to report the incident. He found Maria lying there, bloodied and barely breathing. She had lost a lot of blood, but she was still alive. Just before she lost consciousness, Maria told him not to let anyone know she was alive, not even her mother. She tried to explain why, but her words were fading fast, and before she could finish, her body gave in. Her father told everyone she was dead. While investigators scrambled for answers, Maria lay in a private room under heavy protection. Her mother never suspected a thing. She wailed, gave statements, played the grieving wife and mother. She even visited the hospital once, which was when she was told Maria was dead. But she didn't know the truth, because while investigations were going on, she thought Maria was in the morgue. The girl she had tried to silence forever was still breathing. Weeks later, the truth came out. Her confession, combined with the dashcam footage and the young man's statements, led to her conviction. She was sentenced to prison for attempted murder. The courtroom was filled with gasps. Her husband sat still, holding back tears. He had loved her. He had trusted her with the child he once cradled alone. She was the woman he married a year after losing his wife in childbirth, a stepmother who had raised Maria like her own. And now, she was being sentenced for trying to kill her. Maria regained consciousness days after the sentencing. She didn't say much at first. She barely ate. Her eyes were open, but the light in them was dimmed. Months passed and she recovered slowly, with her father always by her side. Then, one morning, she asked her father for one thing, to visit her mother in prison. No one could understand why, but he took her anyway. She sat across from the woman who had raised her, the woman who had hugged her through her first heartbreak, packed her lunch every school day, tied her hair every day. the same woman who had tried to end her life. And yet, Maria didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just looked at her. Her mother's eyes were sunken, her hands shaking. And for the first time since everything happened, her spoke, not with defense, not with denial, but with tears. She said she didn't know what came over her that day. That fear and shame had clouded her judgment. That she had failed, not just as a wife but as a mother. She said she deserved the punishment. Every second of it. But still, she loved Maria. She woke up every day haunted by what she had done. Maria's eyes welled, but she didn't let the tears fall. She remembered birthday cakes, how her mother always packed school lunches, how she stayed up at night whenever she was having fever. Maria looked at the arms that once held her in a tight embrace whenever she was sad. And then she spoke, softly. She said she forgave her. Because even though they didn't share blood, this woman had always treated her like her own. She had once called her mother, and even now, part of her still meant it.